ordinary people around here. Extraordinary acts of the ordinary, acts of kindness and bravery, not for glory or flattery. Close your eyes and see the old gal on the subway, staring off into space. She does a gig at the Blue Note. She blows the roof off the goddamn place. So check yourself when you're thinking everybody's a fool, and catch yourself when you're telling yourself no one's hurting but you. And stand up in the crowd, raise your head high and be proud, 'cause there ain't no ordinary, no ordinary, no ordinary people around here. Oh, ordinary, no ordinary, ain't no ordinary people around here. Oh, ordinary, ain't no ordinary, no ordinary people around here. Oh, ordinary, ain't no ordinary, ain't no ordinary people around here. Ain't no ordinary people. 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 Ain't no ordinary people.
91.3 WVKR Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie, New York. I'm so proud and thrilled to play that single. It was just released. It's called, obviously, Ordinary People, and it's the newest release from James Maddock. The album itself is called Nightworks. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the LocalMotion on 91.3 WVKR YouTube channel and giving a like and a follow on the Facebook page by the same name. And now, let us see. James, are you with me?
I am.
Wonderful thing. It's always a good thing. Congratulations on yet another masterpiece of yours.
Well, very kind of you to say that. I think it's a very strong record. I'm really happy with it, and I hope people like it.
I think they will. It's really, I'm thrilled to, like I said, we're going to have this whole hour. We'll talk, but we're going to play some of these tracks after you and I are done talking. So we'll start. And thank you for allowing me to play these before it's officially released. This album's actually being released next week on the 21st. And I know you're having a big jammer at the Wonder Bar in Asbury Park.
Yes, and everybody is invited.
Including Bruce Springsteen?
He particularly is not invited because when he comes, he just takes over, and I don't want people looking at him. They've got to look at me.
Beautiful, James. Beautiful. I love that. I love that. Let's step back a little in time and let's let our listeners learn about James Maddock. You have that lovely English accent. Tell us where in the UK you're from.
I'm from a little village in the middle of Leicestershire, which is in the middle of the country. It's like if you were to look at a map of England, Leicestershire is like dead centre, and I'm from a little rural village. Originally, I lived there for like the first 20 years of my life, and then I moved to London when I was like in my early 20s, 21, 22, something like that, and I spent like 20 years in London, playing the clubs and pubs and doing a bunch of things, like that. And then I moved here about 20 years ago.
Wow. So you're like the 20-20-20 spot.
Well, what's next? I
Yeah.
don't know where I'm going.
Well, do any of us really, So,
That's right.
yeah. So talk to me about like music coming into your life. You're obviously a guitarist, you're a singer, you're a songwriter. When did you first pick up an instrument? And was it always guitar being your first instrument?
My grandfather was a George Formby impersonator during the war, and that is he was a very famous music hall ukulele singer with these kind of comedic songs, that were quite risque, and he also made movies. And my granddad was a really fantastic ukulele player, and he kind of taught me some rudimentary chords on the ukulele when I was about 8 or 9. And then there was always guitars lying around the house and ukuleles, and I started to play them and transfer what I'd learned on the ukulele, which was very little. And then I started to play the guitar a bit more seriously at school. And from the age of about 14, 15, I really played a lot of guitar and really put a lot of time into, practicing the guitar. And
did you have lessons?
I had a guy called Dave Yeomans used to come over on a Saturday morning, and he would teach me. I'd be in bed, and my mum would say, "Dave's here, James. Dave's here." It'd be like 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and I'd come down in my pajamas, and Dave would teach me a song or two. But he also, the thing about Dave is that he would say to me, "Hey, you should listen to this record by," and it would be like Ry Cooder or Randy Newman or Neil Young or Jackson Brown or these kind of West Coast guitar-based singer-songwriters. And I got an education from him, and listening to those guys, and I would go and buy the records and, try and play like those guys.
Yeah, you and I are the same age, so there was no YouTube or anything like that to learn from, or internet or anything, and good for that. That was a nice time. Were you also part of like the Beatles craze and the Stones and all the British invasion music?
When I was, my earliest memory really is playing the Magical Mystery Tour album when I was really little, like 4 or 5. That came out as a double EP with a very strange record cover with all strange photographs in it of the Beatles, and those records were very strange. I'm the Walrus and Blue Jay Way and Your Mother Should Know, if people know that record. That certainly is my earliest memory, and I would play that record over and over again as a 4 or 5-year-old. And there was a Rolling Stones record, Through the Past Darkly, in the house. Used to listen to that all the time. So I definitely have, those records in my life big time.
Yeah, cool. Songwriting, it seems to almost come easy to you. When did you start writing songs?
Well, when I was at school, we had a school band, and we would do covers, and we would play everybody else's songs. And then I thought, well, I'll try and write some songs. And I was a singer, so I kind of started writing songs for that band when I was about 15, 16. And thankfully, none of those songs exist. Nobody ever heard them. And I would write all the time, and I continually wrote all my 20s. And I had a bunch of record deals and things like that when I was in my 20s. But I don't think I ever really hit my stride as a songwriter till I was in my early 30s. And then I wrote some songs which I thought, these are better for some reason than the ones I wrote, in my mind anyway. Some people still like my older stuff, but I don't really like it. Mm-hmm. And then, in my 30s, I started to write. I turned a corner with my writing, and, but I've always been a writer, but obviously not the trick about songwriting is really a lot of it is to do with editing, self-editing, realizing when you've got something that's actually worth working with as opposed to something that's not. And you have to try and apply that that editing to your songwriting, and a lot of it's in that, realizing whether you've got something worth pursuing or not.
The cover, and hence I don't do Spotify because I love to see albums and CD covers. The covers of Nightwork, your newest release, shows you writing at a table with a guitar in your hand. When you write, do you write lyrics first and the music later, or does sometimes melody comes and then words later? What's the process for you?
Mostly, it's melodies, and then I will mumble a few words, and if I'm lucky, I'll get a title with the chorus. I'll get a title or an idea that I will flesh out over a lengthy period. It depends on how inspiration strikes me. Sometimes the lyrics can take, a few hours, and sometimes they can take weeks and weeks and weeks. So, but I generally have much more of the melody than the words. I really like it when I've got a title and an idea that I can hang the song on, and then I'll just try and find ways of expressing the idea in the verses.
Do you write several songs at the same time?
Yeah. I mean, this album, Nightworks, I wrote most of those songs in a period of a couple of weeks.
Wow.
I just had a kind of a flurry of songs, and they all came very quickly. And I thought actually they sometimes when I do that, they're really not. They're not that great, and maybe half of the songs sound like the other half because you're kind of in the same mode. But I thought there's a little bit of that in these songs, I think. But I thought they were strong enough to stand, as a piece of work. And here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Absolutely. So going back to your 20-year-old self, going from your little town in the UK and then moving to London, I understand your first album was released in 1982. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was probably one of the records I did when I was in Leicester with my friends and that from Leicester. But they're the kind of songs that really should never see the light of day. I mean, they're just, some people write. There's a lot of songwriters that just come out of the womb fully formed. Like Bob Dylan or Paul McCartney or something. But I was not that guy. It took me a long while to get into my stride.
Into your stride.
So those songs are not really something I'm particularly. I mean, I've not really heard any of them for so many years. But
do you still have your old albums? Or are they like you keep your own releases, I would assume?
Not really, no.
Really? Wow.
Wow. I'm not really. I don't think they're very good, so I get embarrassed to listen to them, and I wouldn't really want to listen to them. And I think, oh man, what was I thinking?
Well, here's another way of looking at it. You can say, wow, how far I've come.
Well, yeah, I wish I'd come a lot further, a lot sooner, I suppose, is the other way I think.
Better late than never, James. Better late than never. So,
thank you.
I also understand another one of your earlier bands. Tell me what your thoughts are about this one. Fire Next Time.
Yeah, so when I moved to London, I had a band and we signed a record deal with Stiff Records, which was a great label back in the 80s. And then I had another record deal with Polydor Records, and we recorded a few records. But, the way their industry was, they didn't come out, and I don't really... I mean, they must have liked me enough to sign me, but I kind of don't... I feel the same way about those songs that I do about the early ones.
Wow.
That maybe they weren't that great.
Yeah. And then you also had some success with your band called Wood. Yeah.
So I did a bunch of demos in the UK in the late 90s, and we would go. This is a funny story. Every weekend we would go into Abbey Road and record our demos.
Wow.
Because our friend worked there, and he would get us in there when it wasn't being used, and that was quite a lot at the weekend. So he would go and record in Abbey Road all the time, like in the Beatles studio, and it was a very surreal experience. So I made all these demos of these songs, and then we went round to all the record labels in the UK, and nobody liked any of them at all. And then I met a a woman manager, a couple of people, and she took my records over to Columbia Records here in New York, and they liked it. And then I signed that deal with Columbia Records in the late 90s.
Wow.
Did the Wood album.
Wow, yeah, with the Wood album. And you also had quite a few songs that were on Dawson's Creek, the TV show.
Yeah, I had a bit of success with Dawson's Creek, and I got a song in Serendipity, the movie with John Cusack.
Oh, I love that movie.
You know, a few of the things which, and you know, our song "Stay You" did pretty good at AAA, but we never really had a big hit. And then, cut a long story short, you know, we got dropped, and that was the end of that. That was like in the 2004 or something like that, you know, when it all ended with Columbia Records. And I'd moved to New York by that time. So I
and here you are.
Here.
And you're still in New York, lucky for us. And
thank you.
Yeah. Well, now, the 20 years in New York. Also, I mean, everybody, you have so many fans, by the way. I've seen you countless times perform in various configurations, and your fans are very loyal to you. And, you know, they sing the songs when you're up there. They know every single word. And it seems like one of the biggest ones that I see everyone sing along to, which I also love, is called Another Life.
Thank you.
And I think more and more as I hear the song, you playing at different times, it has different meanings to me. Does it have that to you as well?
I mean, yeah, all the songs have a different meaning at different times, depending on what I'm going through as a person. So they definitely morph into have different meanings. Sure. That one particularly, you know, it depends what you're going through in your life. And it can definitely hit you in a different, you know, in many different ways.
Yeah. It's one of those ones that I just always love it when you perform. We're lucky to have you here in the Hudson Valley. You and your friend Brian Mitchell, of course. You kept us all entertained during COVID when there were only a few places to go play, like the Falcon outside, right?
Yeah.
So
remember that was great.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that thing again. We do a little trio with Sean Pelton and Brian and I. We're starting to play that, and that's a real thrill. And Brian, of course, a great friend, and we go to Italy together, me and Brian, every year.
Well, is that happening later this year?
It might. I'm not sure whether we're going to go this year. We might go. It's still up in the air.
Okay, all right. If not, there's you know.
We do. Funnily enough, we do have a brand new. We haven't printed it up yet, but we have this brand new Brian Mitchell and James Maddock Live in Italy album, which is really come together so fantastic. And somebody recorded us playing out there, and we kind of made it into a record. And I'll be I'm just trying to get that together to print that up, and we'll have that for sale. And that just came out really, really great. So I'm looking forward to that. Brian is so brilliant, and I'm so honoured by his friendship and his playing and his vibe, and I absolutely love Brian Mitchell.
The two of you have beautiful musical energy together, and you just play so lovely off of each other. It's like you've been playing for decades. It really feels that way. And
I just try and live. I just try and hang on, you know, play up to his quality, because obviously he's the master, and I try and keep things simple, and he's just a wonderful, wonderful musician.
Yeah.
And a wonderful guy.
Yeah. And I tell you, when you added Sean Pelton into the mix, that I saw you at the Falcon, I don't know when it was, a month or two ago or whatever it was. And then Sean with the little accordion too. It was like, what?
What about that?
I never saw Sean Pelton on an accordion.
I think it's his new jam, you know. He's decided to add to his already, you know, he's got things on his feet, and he's got, you know, all kinds of things going around and playing rhythm. What else can he do? I'll play an accordion with my left hand.
I love it. I was telling him he looks like the Unabomber when he has those things on his legs, on his ankles, and all of that. It's just so funny. Funny.
Know, he's the master, and my word, you know, to have Sean playing rhythm and accordion. He's great on the accordion as well. So it's just you know, more fun. More accordions equal more fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I bet you Brian and Sean would definitely agree with you on that one.
Well, Brian was initially very suspicious of Sean when Sean turned up with the accordion, because he kept it a secret from Brian.
Oh.
Brian did not know that Sean was an accordion player. Of course, Brian is one of the great accordion players on the planet.
Yeah.
And then to have two of them playing accordion is a lot of fun.
Oh, that's so great. Brian must have been so surprised to see Sean with pulling one of those out. I can't imagine. So, yeah.
He's shocked.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I hope the three of you keep doing what you're doing there because it's a lot of fun. And I tell you, I think you mentioned it one time, and I would love when you guys go back to Italy at some point. You had said something about, oh, we'll bring some fans along, and you guys all kind of like just do this like mini tour of Italy, and you go to a few destinations, and you invite some fans with you, and I think that's a beautiful thing.
Well, I did think that was a good idea, and then until I put it on the Facebook, and then I got like 700 people saying
Yes.
they wanted to come.
Yes, but you limit it. You limit it to like 12 people. So listen, I'm actually going to start training next month to be a travel agent. So if you ever want to make that happen, you come let me know, and we'll work on it together.
Really?
Yeah. I'm serious. I am going to start this new little part-time thing, and I'm going to become a travel agent because I'm crazy about travel. And what better way to do it than really learn the industry and get to places?
Because I just don't want the responsibility of having to. I've got enough to worry about with the gigs. I don't want to be responsible
Right.
for people's accommodation. They come to me and they go, James, the blooming hotel, the water don't work in the hotel, or the food's no good, or I don't, you know what I mean?
No, that's why. No, that's exactly what that's what I'm going to specialize in: European travel and river cruises, and that is exactly what I want to do. So, James, we'll talk when you're ready to do that. Let me know. Let me get my training in. Let me get my feet wet, and things could work in a year or two or whatever. So, it. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. I think it would be a nice idea. Now, let's talk a little deeper about Night Work. Being released July 21st. You've already released the track Ordinary People, which is a 6-minute track. You got a beautiful video that goes with that. Talk to me about that song. It's the last track on the album, and it's a very beautiful track. So if you could just go into depth about that one, please.
Well, I just thought of this idea about, we tend to don't really think about what people do with their lives, and everybody has got a story to tell. Everybody's got something to add to the world, and you can gloss over it, and you take people for granted where, everybody can do something amazing. Mm-hmm. And it's just about trying to value people and look at people differently and try and appreciate that everybody's got something to bring to the table and do amazing things, and you don't know what people are going through. You don't know what is a person's journey, what they do with themselves, and they could do incredible things, and you never would know.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a song about that, really.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
But it's important to remember, that there's amazing people out there doing things.
Yeah, and it's sometimes a lot of people we don't know, right? You don't know them. They're not famous people. They're just what we say, everyday, ordinary people. Yeah.
Exactly. It's not an original idea. I mean, it's a bit of a cliche, really, but I think it was worth saying. And I just felt that the lyric told that story, and I thought I wanted to go with it. So I just come up with that song, and it's got like a double chorus, which I thought was really cool. And then I just had the verses talking about different people. And then we rocked it out. And then I got, I think, got Steve Jackson's drumming on it, and my friend Jim O'Malley on the bass, and Dave O'Donnell mixed it. And it's come out really strong. It was a nice way to end the album.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And 12 tracks on this CD. I mean, you're a busy guy. If I'm going to guess, I'm going to say that you already have at least half of your next CD ready already.
Well, I wish I did. I don't.
No.
I have. I to be honest with you, I actually have maybe one idea that is okay, and I'm not going to title, but I've got one little maybe maybe one and a half little ideas. So I've just not been writing that much lately.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit behind the ball, but normally I do have some ideas. But this one came very fast. I literally wrote most of the songs in the space of a couple of weeks. That's slightly unusual for me, but I don't feel I'm not. I mean, it's quite expensive putting out a record. So
Yeah.
even if I had the songs ready to go, there's no way I could
Keep doing it. Yeah.
I mean, the only reason I want to say this as well, the only reason I've been able to make this record is due to the generosity of the fans, because they donated money, and the record cost well over $25,000,
Wow.
and probably up to $30,000 now for everything. And the fans really threw in almost all of that money, and without the fans and their support, there's just none of this would. And that's true of all my records. I really have relied. I don't have a label or a rich parents or anything like that, or independent income. I'm entirely dependent on the fans' support to make the records. So even if I had the records, I couldn't really go to the fans and say, "Hey, I need another 30 grand."
Right. But you know what?
Just bring me that money.
It shows so much about you and your talent when record after record you have fans helping and really, believing in you, because that's what they're showing you when they're giving you money.
Yeah, totally, that's right. And I really, I think that spurs me on, because I want to make sure that I do the best I can. I'm not going to put out something that lets them down, lets their belief in me down, and I'm going to really try and not ask for the money until I've got some understanding that the material I'm working with is worth their hard-earned money.
Right. And you recorded this at Innsbruck Studios, is that right?
Well, actually, what happened was I worked with the guys from Wood, my old drummer and bass player from the band, Steve, the drummer, lives in the UK, and he built a studio in his shed about a year ago, and he wrote me and said, "Hey, if you've got any songs, send them over to me and I'll play drums on them." So that's how that came about. So I sent him over a little demos of me playing the songs on acoustic guitar. He drummed to them in his studio, and he sent me the files over, and I tracked them up, very piecemeal. And then I went to Innsbruck Studios in Beacon with our Roman, and we kind of tracked them up there. But it was done kind of, bit by bit.
Across the pond and right here in the States. Yeah. It's amazing what technology can allow you to do now.
Absolutely. Would I have loved to be in the studio with Steve and Jim and everybody? Yeah, I would have loved to do that, but that was not something I could afford.
Right. That wasn't going to do. Let's talk about a few of these other songs. To the first track, "Runaway." Yeah. Tell me about it.
I love that song. It's really a poppy song. It's kind of a Eagles meets Creedence song, and it's just got that really 70s take it easy vibe. I always loved the Eagles and always loved that vibe, and I kind of went for that. And the song wrote itself in like 5 minutes.
Amazing.
And I just went for it, and it's a nice, happy kind of foot tapping, friendly song.
Hence, it's the first track on the album.
Yeah.
And what about "Lavender Blue"?
That is a song about my mum.
Oh.
About wandering around the garden. Went on a nice sunny day, and I had that little melody, and she has this kind of blue dressing gown that she wears, and it just that was a song that wrote itself in like 15 minutes.
Amazing.
So I had a bit of luck, with some of these songs. "Breezy," the next song, that's a kind of a song that to me is really about my teenage years, and it reminds me of the song, the chord progression reminds me of Aztec Camera and things like that I used to love when I was a kid, and the acoustic nature of I don't know, that type of music. And I love that song. It's kind of about all my teenage girlfriends, really, I suppose.
Oh, I wonder if they're listening to this.
Oh, maybe.
They maybe. And then you also have another song, Love Ain't Real.
Love Ain't Real. So that is, I had that melody, I had that verse melody for many years, but I didn't really do anything with it. And then I rewrote the lyrics and then come up with that other chorus, and I think it come out great.
Mm-hmm.
So that was that record, that song, and You Got Me were the last two songs that were made the record. I recorded about 16, 17 songs for the record, but I abandoned a few of them, and then I wrote those two at the end, and they came out really well. That's Brian Mitchell on the, that's Aaron Comes, and Jack Daly, and Brian Mitchell and myself at Beacon. That is a Beacon recording.
Lovely.
I love the way that come out.
Yeah. That is a good one. And Tornado and the Trailer Park.
Yeah, that's a song. I wrote that song. Now I don't know where I come up with that lyric from. The Tornado and the Trailer Park.
Probably the news.
I think Drew, my friend, says he saw somebody say that on Yellowstone, which is a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, I actually watched that first two series of Yellowstone, and I wonder whether I actually heard them say that and wrote it down thinking that's a good title for a song, because I don't know where that came from. It definitely came from somewhere, you know what I mean? Because I don't know whether I would have come up with that on my own. It's like Bob Dylan listens to a lot of, gets his lyrics from movies and books and things. And if your ears are open and somebody will say something on the TV or in a book or on a movie, and then you go, oh, that's an interesting turn of phrase.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that come from there. I'm not sure, though, but that Drew told me he heard it on that show.
Mm-hmm.
And I turned that into that song, which I think is, again, that's got a kind of Eaglesy vibe, but it's a bit more, it's a bit sadder,
Mm-hmm.
a bit more. It's the only ballad, really, on the album, I think, that I've made it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Storeroom.
Storeroom, that is really a song about me being at school when I was learning the guitar, and I would literally lock myself off in the storeroom and practice the guitar every lunchtime when everybody was out playing in the playground. I would go in to that little room I can still remember it, and I would go in and just practice the guitar every lunchtime.
When did you pick up the electric guitar?
Really, I suppose when I was like 15,
Mm-hmm.
I started to listen to, I wanted an electric guitar. I had one or two really, really, really terrible ones. And then I think my dad bought me a Yamaha SF700, which was a first decent electric guitar. And then, I would do all these covers, and I played in cover bands. At school, we had a cover band, and we just played lots of songs from the, Thin Lizzy songs or Tom Petty songs, and then we would play in the pubs and clubs around Leicester. So I needed an electric guitar for that.
Yeah, absolutely you did. Tell me about You Got Me.
That is just a raucous Faces type song that I wrote, which I wanted it to be about having a good night out and
Mm-hmm.
trying to having a good time and forgetting all your troubles.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
Mm-hmm.
that is.
Mm-hmm. Featuring Brian on keyboards on that one, I see.
Brian's on that, yeah, and that's Jack Daly, and I think Aaron's on that.
Nope, Steve
No,
Jackson.
Steve's on that.
Yes.
Steve's on that. Yeah.
Aaron was on
going for-
Storeroom. Yes.
Oh, that's on Storeroom. That's
Yes.
So I was
And-
going for like a Faces vibe, and trying to make it a bit ragged and not too thought out.
Right.
Pretty
Right.
fun.
Yeah. Fun. Just good old fun.
Yeah.
Talk about back in the day.
So that reminds me of a Paul Brady. I love Paul Brady, and I was trying to capture some of the energy of a Paul Brady song called "Nothing But the Same Old Story," which is one of my favourite songs of all time. And I had that beat tuning, and I capoed on the 5th fret, and then that's the song about walking around the East Village and trying to go out drinking and drugs and just having a good time and trying to relive your past.
Right. And Honoree?
Honoree is a song about rich people always getting, putting their names on buildings and honouring themselves and aggrandising their achievements at the expense of the working man or woman, and like the Coke buildings and Carnegie and all that stuff. It's just
there's too many to count. There's way too many.
Too many to count.
Yeah,
right? That's just about pointing out that there's behind every fortune is a crime, and in that these people have got their names everywhere. And
that could be a song. James, step back.
All right.
In every fortune, there could be a crime.
Yeah.
Work on that.
The lyrics in the song. But, I just wanted to point that out. And
right.
I think that's come out really good. I was going for, believe it or not, like a Lauryn Hill vibe on that. Trying to get it a bit of a drum machine and make it sound a little hipper.
Yeah.
And it came out good.
Yeah, it did. And the last one, because we've already talked about Ordinary People, is Born and Raised.
Yeah, again, that's a more social criticism about social consciousness determined by social being, as Karl Marx would say, and it's just about people are born into circumstances in a life that they can't escape, and it can determine their whole life. You can be born into a bad situation,
yeah,
born and raised in it, and you're not always got the ability to escape.
Yep.
That's what that song's about.
And I see that features our friend Clark Gayton.
Right.
Yeah, on the trombone. Yeah.
It might be the last session he did before he.
Yeah. I think so. I think of him so often, and I don't really pray, but I send out good intentions, and I think of him often. I really, really do. So. Yeah.
Well, he's a beloved guy.
Yeah.
We love him, and it's a tragedy, and we all hope he makes a recovery as best as he can.
Right.
For those who don't know, he had a stroke in November, and he's been suffering pretty bad. We just wish him all the best. We raised a lot of money for therapy for him, and we just hope he gets the help he needs and he makes as good a recovery as he can.
Right.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. My heart goes out to him. That's for sure.
Definitely.
So James, you're going to party next week because you got a release coming up on July 21st, and you are going to be that day at the Wonder Bar in Asbury Park. That's going to be fun. So I wish you so much fun on that day, July 21st. I see on your website you've got a couple of dates at the end of August. And if I know you, there's more dates creeping up as time goes forward. So,
nice one.
Yeah. And I hope you are bringing it back up here, which I'm sure you will, to the Hudson Valley here, and do some more shows with Brian as time permits, both of your schedules. And I just want to thank you for the music that you've given to all of us here in the world, because, like I said, you've really got some diehard fans, and you are as good a songwriter as anybody that's out there. And
thank you.
You really are. So thank you for your beautiful gifts of music. I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to play some of these tracks. The next one I'm going to play now is Back in the Day. And
great.
And I just thank you for your time. And
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your support, Rita. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, and I want to thank you, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. See you soon, James. Be well, and until next time, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Take care. Bye. 91.3 WVKR, James Maddock. Can visit his website, jamesmaddock.net. He'll also be James Maddock Music on Facebook and Instagram. And Nightwork will be released officially July 21st. You can already hear the one track called Ordinary People. And let's play. Let me stop talking. Let's play another track from this brand new album. This one's called Back in the Day, here on 91.3 WVKR.
I'm off for a drink, do you wanna come with me? I'm buying, so don't say no. Both of us freezing, the wind is a howling. We gotta get out of this snow. Ken is a barman, he works on a Sunday. Put up your collar, let's walk. I'm glad that I met you, you're just what I needed. Been wandering around in the dark. What's the worst that can happen? So you'll have some regrets. You remind me of someone I don't wanna forget. Back in the day, when I used to be alive. Back in the day, when I used to be alive. Back in the day, when I used to be alive. Back in the day, when I used to be alive. Oh yeah. The man in the stairwell might be dead, but I can't tell. Is that a warning sign? I think he was breathing, I think he was bleeding. I got that image stuck in my mind. When you get the drinks on, I'll make a phone call and hit the ATM. If you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. Roll up that dollar, my friend. There's snow on the ground, and there's snow in my head. I won't act my age, and I'm easily led. Back in the day, when I used to be alive. Back in the day, when I used to be alive. Back in the day, when I used to be alive. Back in the day, when I used to be alive. At this barroom confessional, we're putting the world to rights. Like Connolly and Collins, we concur. We talk about our heartbreaks and the women in our lives. You read me poems that you wrote for her. La 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 la. Come with me, I hate to go it alone. It feels like the start of a blockbuster movie, starring two complete unknowns. I know a barman over the east side, I'm calling a cab, let's roll. We'll revisit the past, burn out fast and get all out of control. See, it's 7 a.m. I can barely talk. Let's get out of this place, brother, while I can still walk. Back in the day, when I used to be alive. Back in the day, when I used to duck and dive. Back in the day, when I used to be alive. Back in the day, when I used to be alive. When I used to be alive. When I used to be alive. A light bulb went off in my head. You turned it on to my disarray. You lit my way, showed me where I'm going wrong. A lesson taught but seldom learned. Tradition states the writer makes his own mistakes as he pens his lonesome song. You're running blind down the alleyway if your love ain't real. Tell me, what would your mother say if your love ain't real? If your love ain't real, then you're really alone. If your love ain't real, if love's a second guess and you don't have that fire inside, a sense of pride when she wears her summer dress, and at the end of a long hard day she comes around, her feet are found neath the eider down, hearing what she's got to say. You're running blind down the alleyway if the love ain't real. Tell me, what would your mother say if the love ain't real? If the love ain't real, then you're really alone. If the love ain't real. If the love ain't real, to whom it may concern. If the love ain't real, you must have time to burn. If the love ain't real, there's a melody you don't hear. If the love ain't real, yeah. Love's a silly dance, but no one's watching anyway. So go make your play in a genre called romance. You're running blind down the alleyway if your love ain't real. Tell me, what would your mother say if your love ain't real? You're running blind down the alleyway if your love ain't real. Tell me, what would your mother say if your love ain't real? If your love ain't real, then you're really alone. If your love ain't real, then you're a stepping stone. If your love ain't real, then you're really alone. If your love ain't real.
.3 WVKR, another masterpiece of an album that we are premiering right here on Local Motion. James Maddock. We just heard Love Ain't Real, and we heard the other track called Back in the Day. The new album, which will be released next week, July 21st, is titled Night Work. Info at jamesmaddock.net. You can find James Maddock Music on Facebook and Instagram. And this guy is as prolific a songwriter as anyone that you'll know out there. And if you missed part or all of that interview, or you'd like to hear it again, it will be uploaded tonight on the Local Motion on 91.3 WVKR YouTube channel, as well as the Facebook page by the same name. So please consider subscribing and following and all that good stuff. And then you'll keep up with all the great music that's happening here on the show. I've got a few minutes left, but we've got Dr. J in the house with Irie Groove, so stay tuned for that coming up at the top of the hour. Always an entertaining show. I'll be back again next Wednesday with Billy Martin of Maddock, Martin and Wood. We'll be talking about all kinds of things going on, and also Creative Music Studio, which he's the president of now. So they've got some great concerts coming up that we'll discuss with Billy Martin. In 2 weeks, I will host the brand new executive director of Arts Mid Hudson, Melissa Dosvenja Thomas. And that middle name there, I know I'm not saying it right, but Melissa is how I know her, and I'm thrilled to have her here. Wonderful things happening in the art scene here in the Hudson Valley. So she'll talk to us about all those great happenings. 3 weeks, we'll start off August with Cindy Cashdollar. Always a pleasure to have 5-time Grammy winner Cindy Cashdollar on the airwaves here with us. And August 9th, welcoming back Mr. Jorma Kaukonen. It's always like one of the best things that I get to do is speak to Jorma. We're totally booked with guests until the end of September, so I'm actually booking into October now. So keep it tuned every Wednesday, 4 to 6 p.m. right here on LocalMotion. I'm going to leave you out with another track from the new album Nightwork by James Maddock. This one's called The Tornado and the Trailer Park. I'll see you next week. Stay tuned for Dr. J at 6 p.m. and let's take a listen to James Maddock right here, right now. 91.3.
Toys and bikes and cars and clothes, strewn across the fields and roads. And this old house ain't even got a roof. Since the whirlwind blew on through, a trucker pulls off the road to cry, cleans his mirrors and wipes his eyes. He makes his money the good old-fashioned way. But she's not even thinking about him anymore as somebody buys her another shot. You're the tornado, he's the trailer park. You're the tornado.